Emma Watson, she's a famous actress, and she's most known for being Hermione in Harry Potter. She's also been in several other films. However, what we're going to be talking about is not her acting career, but we're going to be talking about how she is an activist for equality of the sexes. She's always been a really well-spoken woman since she was in interviews for being in Harry Potter. And now she's the Goodwill Ambassador for UN Women. And this position is granted to people who are extremely vocal and active about issues that they care about. So she's one of these people, and she's also part of the He for She Foundation, which is what the video that we're analyzing and her speech is for, the He for She Foundation. And this is a foundation that's focused not only on awareness of issues of equality in the world, but they're also heavily focused on actual actions towards these changes. And they're also extremely focused on recognizing and bringing attention to other outstanding activists in the world that have been activists for equality of the sexes.
Feminism, by definition, is the belief that men and women should have equal rights and opportunities. It is the theory of the political, economic, and social equality of the sexes. I started questioning gender-based assumptions a long time ago. When I was 8, I was confused at being called bossy because I wanted to direct the plays that we would put on for our parents. But the boys were not. When at 14, I started to be sexualized by certain elements of the media. When at 15, my girlfriends started dropping out of their beloved sports teams because they didn't want to appear muscly. When at 18, my male friends were unable to express their feelings. I decided that I was a feminist.
In Emma Watson's speech at the UN, she was able to expertly use pathos to help draw a significant olive branch between the gender inequality issues. The whole point of the He for She campaign is for men to help become activists for women's rights. And so naturally in her speech, she had to really not just use pathos that really applied to women, but she also had to use pathos that applied to men as well. And one of the major paragraphs in the middle of her speech really helped to really show that it's not just women who have unequal rights, but also men, and that both need to stand up for each other. The speech, or the quote as shown here, really helps draw attention to the issue. Basically, she was talking about, through the speech, how at different ages she was really sexualized by both the press and the media and by different people around her. Being a very popular and profound figure, especially at an early age from the Harry Potter series, really made her much more sexualized by the media at a very early age. And this happens a lot with a lot of different people. It happens with Disney Channel stars, which is kind of disgusting seeing most of them are under 18. And she really helps to show that women face this from the press, and by her talking about it, and then later in the speech also mentioning how men are also very rigid and are expected to have this different sense of toughness to them, it really helped draw the comparison that there really is a lot of different social stereotypes surrounding both men and women that really need to help bridge the gap. Her use of repetition, when she said at age 14, when at age 15, when at age 18, showed that it wasn't just a single like cornered incident. All of these different things kept happening through her whole entire life. And so it really helped to build a lot of attention and really build sympathy to her cause, that it's not just something that happened once. Gender inequality isn't something that just happens once in your life and then it's over. It's something that you continually deal with every day. And that was something that really helps draw a lot of pathos, because thinking about it, if you're thinking about it in the proper sense, it should make you frustrated, it should make you mad to think that someone has to deal with this inequality every single day, such as racism. And so the gender inequality gap, it really helped to show that it's not something that just happens once, it's something that continually happens. And it helps to build understanding too. It shows that, especially for women speaking out for men, and how the social stigmas, they always need to be rigid, don't show emotions, how moms are a lot more signified in culture as being much more important than fathers. Her saying that really helped build an understanding, because a lot of guys just hold stuff in because of the social stigma, and a lot of girls will also act on their social stigmas. So someone acknowledging that really helps to really build a bridge to understanding, to really be able to connect the two ideals. And I think that was a really important part of her speech, because it shows that she wasn't just talking for feminist rights, she was also talking for male rights as well.
In 1997, Hillary Clinton made a famous speech in Beijing about women's rights. Sadly, many of the things that she wanted to change are still true today. But what stood out for me the most was that less than 30% of the audience were male.
Emma Watson is credible because not only is she speaking about the organization, but she is also a part of it. In Watson's speech, she references one of Hillary Clinton's speeches, which shows the audience that since she is referencing a very well-known politician, that has a lot of credibility. Because Hillary Clinton is one of the only women who have come close to winning a presidential election in 2016. And at the time of the speech, she had already come close to winning the presidential primary election. These specific factors make Emma Watson's reference to her even more credible. In a separate part of the speech, Emma Watson quotes Statesman Edmund Burke said, "All that is needed for the force of evil to triumph is for good men and women to do nothing." This is also an appeal to ethos because Edmund was a statesman, a political theorist, and has served in the London Parliament. This is also an appeal to ethos because Edmund was a statesman, a political theorist, and served in London as a member of the Parliament. This quote also has pathos because it evokes emotion and makes people want to change because of the emotion. A rhetorical strategy used in both ethos examples was exemplification. Exemplification was used when Watson referenced Hillary Clinton's speech. Emma Watson used exemplification to support her point with a statistic about how Hillary Clinton's audience was only 30% men when she was talking about women's rights. Exemplification is also used in the quote that Watson got from Edmund Burke. All that is needed for the forces of evil to triumph is for good men and women to do nothing. This quote used exemplification because it really clarified the point that Emma Watson was trying to make in her speech, and it really made her speech so much stronger.
One quote that serves as an example of logos in Emma Watson's speech for gender inequality is when she says, "I've seen young men suffering from mental illness unable to ask for help for fear it would make them look less macho." In fact, in the UK, suicide is the biggest killer of men between 20 through 49 years of age, eclipsing road accidents, cancer, and coronary heart disease. I've seen men made fragile and insecure by a distorted sense of what constitutes male success. Men don't have the benefits of equality either. So what she's saying here is men have a superior motive to feel like they need to act strong to be the more dominant sex. Emma Watson states that sometimes men need help but feel it will take away the manliness they feel they should live up to. Another quote by Emma Watson: "Both men and women should feel free to be sensitive. Both men and women should feel free to be strong. It is time that we all perceive gender on a spectrum, not as two opposing sets of ideals." Emma Watson once uses this sentence as a conclusion to the point she's trying to make previously. Emma Watson uses rhetorical strategies when she says, "I think it is right that I should be able to make decisions about my own body. I think it is right that women be involved on my behalf in the policies and decision-making of my country, and I think it is right that socially I am afforded the same respect as men." The rhetorical strategy that Emma Watson uses here is repetition. She uses repetition to remind whoever is listening to her speech what she is fighting for in her campaign. She then goes on to say, "These rights I consider to be human rights, but I am one of the lucky ones. My life is a sheer privilege because my parents didn't love me less because I was born a daughter. My school did not limit me because I was a girl. My mentors didn't assume I would go less far because I might give birth to a child one day. These influencers were the gender equality ambassadors that made me who I am today. The rhetorical strategy that is used here is exemplification. Emma Watson uses her life as an example of a girl who is lucky enough to say that she has not experienced extreme gender inequality firsthand. Then she continues to say how everyone should be treated how she was when she was younger.
So overall, Emma Watson's speech uses multiple rhetorical analysis strategies, and she uses them to convince her audience to join her and join the campaign. And she uses them really effectively. We thought that she used pathos more than all the other ones, but they were examples of all of them. So she's clearly a very well-spoken, really good speaker. She was very convincing, I will say, to me and to her audience. So thanks for listening, and I hope you were convinced. Yeah, now it's recording. Okay, I'll press.
I'm not expecting like a world-class video.